Next up, here's part 2 of that conversation. You're going to love this. Thanks for joining us on The Rebuild.
I'll ask you a very clear
Okay.
question just so
Okay.
that we can lay the
Sure.
groundwork.
Okay.
Tell me your top 3 tips for parenting adult children, and then kind of, tell us why those are your tips.
Okay. That's a great question. The first thing I would say is to acknowledge that they are different and you need to change the way you see them. Because if you do that, here we're back to identity again, right? Change who they are in your mind, and that will change the way you relate to them. You know, if you've ever done any speaking, the number one thing you do is you figure out who is my audience. So you're going to have to start seeing them as an adult, and that's very difficult. After 18 years in your home, taking this little helpless baby, all the way up through graduation, you've been given advice, you've been, sometimes whether it's asked for or not, you're, whatever, you're all up in the business, and that has to change. So changing that identity, I would say.
Okay, wait.
Okay. Yeah.
I got another question around
Yes.
that, because I think that I totally understand why that would be your number one tip for parenting adult children. But Suzy, I feel like there's a lot of thought that has to go into that. There's a lot of humbling oneself as, having been the mom, having been the parent. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how did you get to that point? Because you want to make suggestions. You want to give them advice.
You do.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you have to be intentional as a parent. And I'm going to say this, and this sounds really harsh. This is the strongest thing I'm going to say tonight. If you do not change the way you parent your adult kids, you will lose them. You can lose them. And
can we stop right there and acknowledge that?
It's serious. It's just you will, if you don't completely lose them, you will definitely not have the relationship that you long to have with them.
Right.
Because we raise these kids and we want them to be these kids that we will enjoy as adults. I don't like friends that chew with their mouth closed. So boy, close your mouth.
Close your mouth.
I don't want people that talk while they're eating, no. And so I want them to. So, we raise them to be that. And they will let you down. There will be areas where you hoped they would be different, whether it's the field they go into, the people they choose to surround themselves with, the spouse they choose, the major they choose in college, the job field they choose. Something is going to let you down. And so you just have to know that. So I would say let me finish the whole thing about their identity. Also, you need to understand, so you've always seen them as a child, and you're going to transition. It's very gradual. You're going to transition yourself into trying to see them as more of an adult. Yes. And it's going to be difficult at first because they don't necessarily act like an adult. Right. And I don't know if you remember back to when your kids were in middle school, but middle schoolers are just so cute because one minute they act like little children and the next they're like, I'm so big, I'm so
right.
And it can just shift like that all the time, just constantly within a minute or two. And that's kind of how it is when they first leave. When they're in college, those first couple of years, you'll see kind of that child still, but then you'll see I'm a man, I'm going to be an adult, and you're like, So you have to learn to talk less and listen more.
So crucial. Crucial. Yeah.
Talk less, listen more, talk less. We say LMTL, listen more, talk less. Ooh. And so you'll do a lot of, instead of jumping in with a suggestion, you just should never do that. What you'll do is listen, and you'll become really good at asking questions. So one thing I have in the book is I have 50 conversation starters with your adult kids. So you become, and I talk a lot, and I give this is exactly what you say. I will give you word for word. You say things like, huh! So I do a lot of that. Wow. And then I go, then you say, or another one, my friend was like, she goes, oh, I always say, interesting. And then you follow those things up with, tell me about that. Like, tell me explain how you got there. I really want to understand this. And
Yeah.
so you're going to get them to tell you more. And then you're going to have an opinion. You're going to have something you want to say. And you're going to
Mhm.
go, "Mm."
Yeah.
And if it is something about their safety, then you got to say it. If it's something about their health, that they're doing something dangerous, then you're going to say. If it's not, then you're going to only if you feel that you absolutely must, you're going to say, I have a thought. And
Mm.
I have a thought about this, and I wouldn't use the word suggestions. I always say, Suzy suggests no suggestions. Do not make suggestions. That's just
Mhm.
another way of you telling them what to do.
Right.
And when you do that, they feel like you don't have faith in them. And that is the last thing we want, is for our kids to feel like we don't have confidence in them, we don't believe in them. And
Yeah.
your suggestions make it like you can't figure this out on your own. So you just need help. You're just
Right.
not doing it.
Right.
So that's why you have to really limit those suggestions. If you think I absolutely have gem here, I can't not say it. Then
Mhm.
you may say, few and far between times, you may say, I have a thought, and this is after listening really well. I have a thought, and I'd love to share it with you, but I need permission from you. And if you say you don't want to hear it, I will honor that, and that is great. That is fine. And never, ever have any of my kids ever said no when I said that.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, that means that
Mhm.
they want your wisdom, and that also means that I don't give it unsolicited. So you wait for them to ask. So identity and beginning to see them as adults. Also, part of what complicates this whole thing, Tiffany, and think about what we just talked about, is that they see you as, you're seeing them as child, they see you as mom.
Right. Right.
So I just got back from visiting my parents. My mom is 90.
Oh,
And
God
she
bless.
still sees me as child, and I
Yes.
still see her as
Yes.
mom.
Yes.
And that is not the relationship you necessarily want to move into. I've worked really hard to not get into that situation with my own kids, because that is the natural thing. If you don't work thoughtfully and intentionally not to be that way, what will come naturally is to continue doing what you're doing. But it will drive a wedge because of what I said. It sends this message that I don't believe in you. You can't handle it. Think
Right.
about if you had a friend. So you're transitioning into friendship. So Tiffany, if you and I are friends, and every time you tell me a story about something that happened at work, I was like, oh girl, I know what you need to do. Do this. You'd be
Right.
like, you know what? I kind of just wanted you to hold the bucket so I could just give you all the
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what they need. And if I'm not sure what they need, sometimes I will stop them as they're talking and say, I need to know what you need from me. Are you just, is this, you just want to hold the bucket? Do you want to hear what I think? What is happening in this conversation? So I
And
try to
I
be
think
really honest.
I think that's so great because if we've raised these children, we've raised them to be exceptional adults, and they're adults that we're going to be interested in. Like
Yes.
I want to be interested in my daughter and interested in the things that she's interested in. And I know that we probably have similar likes or dislikes. And so I want to know about her life in a
Yes.
yeah.
And some things in her life, you'll be like, wish that wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but,
And
just like,
I also acknowledge that there's an age difference, so I
yeah.
don't want her to think like me.
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh,
want her
yeah.
to think like the kid that she is.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanna think like the adult, like
Yeah.
the older person. I
Yeah.
want her to have, like, great, big, crazy ideas and
Yeah.
wild nights. Of course,
Exactly.
danger outstanding and
Yes,
harm
exactly.
outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so back to your 3, I think the first
Okay.
thing is really change that thought of
Yep.
identity, and
Mhm.
understand that they're gonna continue to see you as mom until they don't.
Yeah.
So, you know, my kids have changed a little bit the way they see me because of what I do, and that's really great, but they still hear mom first thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you gotta work to change that identity. Really, it takes work, it takes intentionality, and it takes thoughtfulness, it takes
Mhm.
self-control. Close your mouth.
Yeah.
So that's number 2, listen more, talk less. and learn to ask good questions. So you have to
Mm,
change your communication style. It's a lot more of talking to them like you and I just became friends, Tiffany. So the way we talk to each other isn't the way you talk to your BFF that you've known since y'all were 5.
right.
And
Right.
so you want to be very sort of tread really carefully at first and be a good friend. You want to
Yeah.
be the positive person, the fun person, the interesting person, finds them fascinating. And
Right.
you will,
Right.
but you
Right.
have to just think almost like you're wooing them. Like when I got
Mhm.
on with you and I wanted you to like me and you wanted me to
Yeah.
like you. And so we were having a
Yeah.
fun conversation about things we had in common and
Mhm.
that's what you do.
I love that I heard you say on a podcast that your children don't need suggestions, but they've probably had they probably had many of your suggestions or much of your advice. What they really need is your words of
They
encouragement.
need your encouragement, and that would
My
be
gosh.
yeah, that would be the third thing is they need your encouragement. They need you to
Yes.
believe in them more than anything. I still want my 90-year-old mom to tell me she's proud of me.
Right?
So, and this has been a really interesting thing. I don't know the age range of your listeners, but as I've had grandkids, my grandbabies are 3 and 4
Mhm.
months. And
Mhm.
so many grandparents, like just you go over there and you rush in to see the grandkids. Oh, hey, give me some sugar. I love you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I just my husband and I made the decision that we weren't going to do that. That we were those little ones, they are loved. They're loved by their parents, they're loved by us. They know they're loved. Their parents still need our encouragement.
Oh, that is
So
beautiful. That is
we like the little
beautiful.
grandkids rush at us and we're like, hey, and we reach up and hug those big ones. We hug our
That is
kids,
so
we hug the
sweet.
daughter-in-law, we, and then they're the last ones that we talk to when we leave. And we just say, we look them in the eye and go, you're doing a great job. I
Oh my
know XYZ
goodness.
is hard. We're praying for you. We're thinking about you in this. If you need any help, let us know. But you're doing an amazing job. And these kids are precious. And you are really wading through whatever it is they're wading through, crisis at work or whatever. And you're doing awesome. And I'm
That
proud
is
of you.
so that
So we leave them with that. And words have power, you know.
yes, they do. Yes,
Words have
absolutely.
power.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
gotta encourage.
I think that's so beautiful, and I think it's such a good reminder, and I mean, like, no one hears it enough. No
Yeah.
one hears it enough, you know? A parent doesn't hear enough that they're doing a good job, that
No.
they're getting it right, you know? And so I love that you're giving
Yeah.
your children that encouragement. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I think everybody needs encouragement, and there isn't
Mhm.
enough of it out there. And even I think in our society in America, we're just like going, going, going. And
Yeah.
there's this innate sense of competition that isn't even spoken, but there's so much divisiveness on so many fronts that we're all just kind of out for number one, I'm out for
Yeah.
myself. And
Yeah.
and to just stop and go, you know what, I kind of think what you're doing is amazing, which I did when we were
Yes, you
first
did.
talking.
Thank you so
And
much.
yes, and I think everybody needs that attaboy. And
Yeah,
I think we think it sometimes and we're not brave enough to say it.
that
Words have to
part.
be spoken.
That part. Whenever someone pays me a compliment like that, I'm like, "Thank you for saying that." Because sometimes we think it and we don't say it.
Yeah.
It's almost like the reviews, the TripAdvisor reviews. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
everyone wants to leave the bad review, right? Like if something goes wrong, they're ready to talk about it. They're keyboard warriors and they're ready to say something, but
Yeah.
it's really about saying the good things, saying
Yeah.
what worked, saying
Yeah.
what was pleasant about
Yeah.
an experience or about a person, or
Yeah.
acknowledging that, they're doing a good job. Even if it
Yeah.
looks like their world is burning down, we know
Yeah.
that they're diligent and
Yeah.
they're trying their best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you got to have everybody needs encouragement. Your adult kids really need it. And when they
Yeah.
leave you, they really need it. And
Yeah.
you got to, even the ones that the kids that may be estranged from their parents, if things have really
Hmm.
broken down for whatever reason, and there's estrangement, I'm just like, find something to encourage. Like, you
Yeah.
look really great with a mustache, or,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
think of. And then think of just, I think, another thing that's in the book is I have a list of 50 things, traits you can encourage in your adult kids. And like I tell my daughter, you're a good friend. Like you're a really good friend to have. Like I love the way you treat your friends. So a compliment like that, that's very specific, I think also has a lot of meaning.
Yeah, it
So
definitely goes far. That goes
yeah,
really, really far.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to find out a little bit more, just to if you could touch briefly on this. People are talking about grief, and often we're talking about grief with losing a loved one.
Mhm,
But there's a certain amount of grief that comes from
mhm.
a closed chapter, knowing that a chapter is about to close, knowing that a relationship is about to shift. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about some of that. Like, what was some of the grief that you experienced, and how
Yeah.
did you move past it?
I think people that can deal well with grief, this is a really broad statement, but I think people that deal well with grief are healthier people because
Mhm.
grief comes throughout our lives. And so often it seems to me that grief runs on a parallel track with something else. Like, I love my husband. We've been married for 38 years, but I remember when we got engaged and we got married, and I thought, I can't date anybody else. I'll never kiss anybody else.
Yeah.
So there was not grief, but I was kind of like, bummer, but of
Yeah.
course I
Yeah.
loved being married to him and it was all great. When I had a baby, I was like,
Mhm.
this is incredible. I've
Yeah.
new life in the world. God's given us this baby. This is so great. And then parallel track on that was, oh no, I have no idea what I'm doing. And thinking like my life was over. I mean, there's a famous story in our family that the first time my sister came to see me and meet the baby, I handed her this big plastic bin of all my nail polish. And I was like, well, my nail polish days are over. I got the baby now.
My gosh.
And she was like, what? And so, of course, but she was like, okay. But I just thought I was grieving like this loss of me being any other person. Like I thought, like now I'm a mom.
Right.
So when your children leave the nest, you're grieving those 18 years that you have spent forming this child and training,
Mhm.
correcting, exhorting,
Mhm.
encouraging, pushing, prompting, all the things, building
Yeah.
character and all these
Yeah.
things. You have invested yourself. And
Yeah.
marriage is important, but I will just say, as a mom, the men do it too. I'm not saying they don't, but as a mom, you really are kind of laying down your life for this
Mhm.
child. I mean, even if you work, you have a very important job, C-suite, doesn't matter. Your
Right.
kids are in your brain, and women have that ability to think of multiple things at once. And I don't know that, being very stereotypical, but I don't know that men have that ability as well. So
Mhm. Mhm.
it's something that is important to us. So I think just understanding that and knowing that about yourself and acknowledging that the grief is there
Yeah.
and it runs in the empty nest, that grief at the close of that chapter runs parallel to this very weird, like, sense of exhilaration, like, oh my gosh, I can do anything I want. and,
Right, right,
and
right.
no one is waiting for dinner tonight. If my husband and I want to go to McDonald's for dinner, we can go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
want to go to the midnight movie, we can go to the midnight movie.
Yeah.
Now, usually we're asleep, but I mean, we could. We
You
could.
could if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
Yeah, if you
Exactly.
wanted to, you
So,
could.
so often I think grief coexists with some other weird emotion, and that's what makes it hard. Like if
Right.
you've been a caregiver to someone for a long time, they leave and you're like, I'm just grieving the loss of that person, but I'm so relieved they're not in pain anymore. I'm relieved because the care for them was really hurting my relationships outside of my relationship with them, whatever it is. So I think that happens. And grief is sort of life as a series of kind of these necessary and appropriate losses in
Mhm.
life as you go through. You get older, you lose that little bloom of youthful beauty. I look at 16-year-olds, I'm like, you are so dang pretty and you didn't even try.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
they
I'm
are.
trying doing all the red
Yeah.
light therapy and all the,
Yes, yes.
and so you grieve the loss of your beauty, you grieve just the change in your marriage. There's a lot there. But people
Yeah.
that grieve in a healthy way and deal with loss in a healthy way and recognize it for what it is. Lean into it, but recognize that it's very rarely pure. If
Yeah.
it was, I think we would just want to die.
Uh,
We
yes,
just curl
that
up
is
in a
definitely
ball.
true. That
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I think I'm experiencing this because I'm
Mm,
super excited with a senior in high school. I'm super
yeah.
excited about her going off to college. But there's some mornings that I wake
Yeah.
up and I have to look through like her baby photos for 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, she was
Yeah.
so cute. She
Yeah.
was so sweet, like all the things. And so I do think, but then sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, to not have to cook
Yeah.
dinner
Yeah.
or to not have to
Yeah.
worry about,
It's right there,
to be able to
parallel.
stay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Okay.
definitely.
Can
Mhm.
I give you some advice? This is really
Tell me.
practical,
Yes,
Tiffany. Okay,
yes.
because this is for right where you are.
Mhm.
Do not say to your daughter, "Oh, I'm just going to miss you so much. I don't know what I'm going to do without you. I'm
Okay.
just going to be so sad." And the reason is that those are your feelings. She is
Mhm.
having all the feelings right now. Can I make it
Yeah,
on my own? Can I
yeah,
go to a new place? Even if they say they want to, leave and go far away, whatever. Can I really make it as an adult? Can I just stand on my own 2 feet without this support system around me? Can I do this? I think I can 1 minute, but then I kind of panic. I don't know. So they're having all the feelings. It is not kind, not appropriate for you to take your feelings and go, here.
I
That puts
love
the burden on them.
that.
And so none of us, if we had a choice, would ever burden someone we loved with our feelings. But even
Mhm.
just saying, I don't know what I'm going to do when you're gone, that is not
Right,
their problem. Go
right.
tell that to your husband, tell that to your best friend, your counselor, your mama, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And you may feel that way inside, but instead you need to shift that conversation and you need to say things like, you got this. You're going to do great.
Yeah,
You are fully equipped for this situation. It may be
yeah,
challenging to go to a different state, but you're going to be fine because you are, I don't know, a good friend, great at talking to new people. You're confident, you're whatever. So focus what you're doing on encouraging them and building them up so that they leave with confidence and your feelings. You put on your big girl panties and deal.
yes, and deal with them, and deal with them.
Yeah.
I remember when I
Yeah.
was younger, right before I was getting ready, I think I might have been in high school, and I had a friend, Mike, and Mike's mom, Renee, she would always say, "Oh my gosh, Mike, I can't wait for you to go off to college. I'm so excited. You're gonna have so much fun.
I love
You're
it.
gonna learn so much new." And I will never forget that she would
Yeah.
always say that. She's like, "It's gonna be a new experience, and you're gonna have the best time." And I feel like that too. I
Yeah.
totally feel like
Exactly.
that. Like my
Not
daughter's gonna have
only
a great time.
And
Yeah.
not only that, but she's got it. So it's
Yeah.
more important
Yeah.
that you say, you're going to have a great time and you're going to do awesome. And here's why.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All these
Yeah.
reasons.
Listen, I poured into her. I know how
Yeah.
she's gonna be great. She's gonna
And
be
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So tell us what's next for Suzy Mighell. Tell us
Yes.
what's next for you.
That is a great question, ma'am. That is a great question. So I published the book last year in hardback,
Mhm.
and I wanted a book that was pretty and
It's
cute,
beautiful.
and the inside is little polka dots. It's just, I don't know how well
Love
you can
it.
see it, but it's just
Yeah.
cute and it's, all colorful and fun. And I wanted something that looked really giftable,
Mhm.
but hardback books are expensive. So this year we're going to put it out in paperback.
Nice.
It's out in ebook and it's out in audiobook, which I read. So that's really fun. We're about to actually take those off of Amazon and reboot them a little bit, and then we'll
Mhm.
re-upload them, which can take a little while. That's an Amazon thing, not us. But anyway, so we'll release the book in paperback this year. And just I love to speak to groups, church groups, women's groups. Anything. I love to speak
Yeah.
to groups, talk about the empty nest. I love doing podcasts. So hopefully lots more of that and continuing to do what I do on Empty Nest Blessed. We'll be talking about all the things that are interesting in the life of an empty nester: fashion, beauty, travel, marriage, parenting those adult kids, finding purpose in the empty nest. As I said, today social media was about travel, and up on the blog right now we've got this Valentine's Day gift guide because we're recording this, around Valentine's.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
all the things like that. I can't stop. And I love the variety of what I get to do because I think women are multifaceted. And that to me is what makes women fascinating.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they are interested in all those things. They want to know what cream I use and what shampoo. And they want to know what to do about a kid that's in crisis, and how do
Yeah.
you help a child that is an adult child that is in crisis? What do you do?
Yeah.
So all those things, we're all right
Wow.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah.
wanna know a lot of those things also. I've been checking
Mhm.
out your post and so many
Thank
good
you.
things. I'm like, "Okay, I think I need to order that, and I need that, I
Oh,
need that
you're
sweater,
so
and I need."
sweet.
So, thank
You're
you,
so
Susie. I
cute.
can't thank you enough for joining us today and
I
for,
loved it.
just being in this conversation and just your vulnerability about your family and about, how you came to this work and just the fact that like you've decided that this work is meaningful and
Mhm.
purposeful, and you are committed to helping other women who are empty nesters. I'm so grateful that you've committed to this in this way.
Oh,
I'm really, really grateful because I know that I'm going to read your book and I need all these tips. I need all of this help. So thank you so much
thank
for
you.
being with us.
Thanks, Tiffany.
All right, Rebuild family, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We will see you next time. Be sure to comment, subscribe, like, and share. Share this podcast with a woman you know who really wants to have deeper meaning, have deeper understanding, have deeper connection in her family relationships as she becomes an empty nester. Have a great one. Thanks.